Our story begins with 15-year-old Sang Zhi, a dreamy high school student who spends most of her math class drawing instead of paying attention. Her teacher notices her lack of focus and demands she bring her mother to school the next day. This is already the third time this week. Sang Zhi's friend whispers that her mother has already come twice, so how can she bring her again? Frustrated, Sang Zhi decides to ask her older brother Sang Yan for help. At home that evening, Sang Zhi approaches her 20-year-old brother who is lounging on the couch with his phone. When she asks him to come to school as a parent, he immediately refuses without even looking up. Their mother enters and tells Sang Zhi to bring some fruit to her brother's room since his friend is visiting. When Sang Zhi enters Sang Yan's room with the fruit tray, she freezes in amazement. Sitting casually on her brother's bed is the most beautiful boy she has ever seen. This is Duan Jiaxu, also 20 years old, with gentle eyes and a warm smile. Completely mesmerized, Sang Zhi blurts out asking if he had plastic surgery. Jiaxu laughs and tells her she can come closer to see for herself. Sang Yan appears behind his sister, teasing that they must look so similar that she thinks his friend had surgery to look like him. The boys laugh together, and Sang Zhi realizes this might be her chance to get help with her school problem. She asks Jiaxu if he can help her with something, but insists he must say yes first before she explains. When Jiaxu jokingly asks if she'll tell their mother that Sang Yan hit her if he refuses, Sang Zhi immediately starts fake crying and runs toward the door, loudly calling for their mother and claiming her brother hit her. Mrs. Sang rushes in and scolds Sang Yan, even though he never touched his sister. As their mother drags Sang in away to lecture him, Sang Zhi quietly asks Jiaxu for a tissue. Jiaxu hands her the tissue with a gentle smile and reassures her that her brother isn't that bad. But Sang Zhi insists that Sang Yan is terrible and never helps her with anything. When Jiaxu asks what help she needs, Sang Zhi explains that she needs someone to go to school tomorrow to meet with her teacher about her report card. Jiaxu suggests she ask her brother, but Sang Zhi threatens not to tell Sang Yan about their conversation if he doesn't help. Eventually, Jiaxu agrees to consider it. When Sang Yan returns after changing clothes and prepares to leave with his friend, Sang Zhi asks Jiaxu to stay for dinner. Her brother starts teasing her again, calling her a child. Sang Zhi protests that she's in 8th grade, not a little kid. Jiaxu observes that she's 14 years old then, and Sang Zhi becomes self-conscious, thinking he's implying she looks young for her age. Sang Yan confirms this is exactly what his friend means, making Sang Zhi even more embarrassed. The story then jumps forward several years. Sang Zhi has grown into a beautiful young woman and comes downstairs ready for the day. Her brother is also home, but she deliberately ignores him. Sang Yan asks why she's giving him attitude, and she tells him to ask their parents if they even recognize him since he's been away for so long. Sang Yan says he hasn't seen her in ages either and deserves a proper welcome. Their parents arrive for breakfast and Sang Yan asks their father for the car keys to pick up some belongings. Sang Zhi offers to help and he agrees. After school, Sang Zhi calls her brother asking where he is since she's waiting. She spots their father's car and notices a stuffed toy inside. Then she sees Jiaxu, who recognizes her immediately despite how much she's grown up. Sang Zhi starts blushing as Jiaxu comments on how much she's changed since she was little. She explains she came to help her brother, and Jiaxu mentions that Sang Yan told him she would be coming. Looking at the toy, he teasingly asks if she still plays with such things since she's supposedly grown up. Embarrassed, Sang Zhi insists she's in 11th grade now, but when he offers to throw the toy away, she quickly says she sometimes still plays with it. Jiaxu smiles at her honesty. They carry luggage to Sang Yan's dorm room where her brother is relaxing comfortably while his roommates approach Sang Zhi with interest. Sang Yan immediately warns everyone to stay away from his sister, saying she'll get scared. Jiaxu agrees and tells her to sit near him instead. He then tells his roommates he won't join them for barbecue because he has work to do. When Jiaxu picks up his phone to leave, Sang Zhi notices and wonders if he has a girlfriend. After he leaves, she asks the others about this and they confirm he doesn't have one. Her brother invites her to come along with them, but she refuses and goes home instead. Back home, Sang Zhi feels restless thinking about Jiaxu. When he returns to the dorm after work, Sang Yan tells him that Sang Zhi needs something from him and suggests he call her. Jiaxu calls, and Sang Zhi explains that she left her notebook in his room. He offers to have Sang Yan send it, but she insists it's a brand new notebook she needs to submit the next day. When he suggests talking to her brother, she says Sang Yan will just scold her. Jiaxu asks what time she goes to school, and when she tells him, he asks if she can wake up at 6 in the morning. Confused, she asks why, and he explains he'll help her write an essay if she meets him at the bus stop at 6. He tells her to set her alarm, and Sang Zhi eagerly sets multiple alarms. The next morning, Sang Zhi wakes up at 6 and rushes to the bus stop, but Jiaxu doesn't appear. She waits for a long time, feeling disappointed. The scene then shifts to a flashback showing Sang Zhi in class, not paying attention to the lecture. The teacher calls her to his office, and she leaves school sadly. Jiaxu was supposed to come that day, but didn't show up. As she walks home dejected, she trips and falls. Suddenly, Jiaxu appears and helps her up. She asks why he's so late, pointing out that school is already over. Jiaxu apologizes sincerely and suggests they go meet her teacher now. Sang Zhi warns him that whatever the teacher says, he must listen quietly and not argue. At the teacher's office, Jiaxu introduces himself as her brother. The teacher explains that Sang Zhi is actually a top student, but she doesn't pay attention in class and keeps drawing during lectures instead of focusing on her studies. Jiaxu asks Sang Zhi to apologize to the teacher and tells the educator how much she talks about him at home, saying it's because of his hard work that she's in the advanced class. He then asks her to apologize again, which she does. Back in the present, Sang Zhi is waiting at the bus stop when she calls Jiaxu asking if he's awake. He says he's been waiting for her for a long time. Sang Zhi teasingly warns that if he keeps standing her up like this, he'll never get a girlfriend. Jiaxu then appears with milk he bought from a shop for her. He tells her to do her work while drinking the milk, but Sang Zhi puts the milk in her bag instead. She asks where he lives, mentioning she thought he lived in their city. Jiaxu explains he's from another city, and she asks if he'll go home for summer holidays. He deflects the question and asks why she wants to know, then drops her off at school and gives her an essay to use, saying he saw her work and she can reference his. When Sang Zhi arrives home, she starts to put the milk in the refrigerator but worries someone might throw it away, so she takes it to her room instead. She reads Jiaxu's essay, which describes the day they helped move Sang Yan to the hostel. In it, he wrote that he was happy to see her. Reading this makes Sang Zhi incredibly happy. Her mother comes to take the milk, worried it might spoil, but Sang Zhi refuses to let her have it, saying she's just looking at it and drawing. Her father then announces that he and his mother are going to a wedding and she needs to stay with her brother. Sang Zhi protests, but her father promises that Sang Yan won't bother her, and if he does, his allowance will be stopped. After their parents leave, Sang Yan looks for his sister throughout the house. When he finds her, he asks why she wasn't answering his calls. She says she doesn't want to go out with him. Just then, her friend calls inviting her to eat, so Sang Yan gives her time to get ready. When she comes out to the car and sees her friend's overweight friend, she becomes disappointed. Sang Yan also picks up Jiaxu, who falls asleep in the car during the drive. While the three friends chat, Sang Zhi keeps looking at Jiaxu. He notices her staring and asks if she even said hello to him. She greets him, and he teasingly asks if she finds him handsome. This makes Sang Yan angry, and when Sang Zhi denies saying anything like that, Jiaxu playfully asks why she blushes whenever she sees him. Sang Zhi falls silent, and their friend in the back warns her not to mind Jiaxu's words, saying he's not good at all. This comment clearly bothers Jiaxu. When they reach the restaurant, Sang Yan's friends bet out, but Sang Zhi says she wants to wait in the car and doesn't want to go inside. Sang Yan explains there's no parking space there and tells Jiaxu to stay with her while he parks the car. Jiaxu notices that Sang Zhi seems uncomfortable and asks what's wrong. She quietly admits she needs to use the washroom. He goes with her to find a restroom, and when he sees her skirt is dirty, he understands she's gotten her period. After sending her to the washroom, he asks if she has tissues. When she says no, he tells her to wait while he gets them. He goes to find Sang Yan and explains that Sang Zhi isn't feeling well. Sang Yan immediately understands the situation and tells Jiaxu to help her. Both young men feel embarrassed about buying feminine products, but they purchase what she needs. Jiaxu suggests they should also get her a clean skirt. They send the items to Sang Zhi through another girl, and after she changes, her brother takes her inside the restaurant. As soon as she sits at the table, Jiaxu brings her water. During the meal, since Sang Zhi is allergic to beef and mutton, Jiaxu carefully separates the meat from her food. After eating, when they're about to leave, Sang Yan remembers he has some work to do and leaves Sang Zhi with his friends while he goes away. The overweight friend takes Sang Zhi to play games, but then Jiaxu takes over and plays in her place. He wins a stuffed toy for her and playfully says, "Not to cry, little girl." Sang Zhi smiles at his kindness. A flashback shows an earlier scene when Jiaxu brought her report card home. He told her he would walk her home and scold her along the way. She pointed out that her brother never used to scold her, so he offered to talk to Sang Yan instead. When she protested and started crying because he was teasing her, he quickly reassured her he was just kidding and wouldn't do anything like that. This made her happy again. He insisted on walking her all the way home, even though she told him he could just do his own work. Back in the present, Sang Zhi visits a restaurant with her friend and spots Jiaxu working there. He approaches their table to take their order. While her friend studies the menu, Sang Zhi secretly watches Jiaxu. After they eat, she tries to pay him, but he refuses to take money from her. The restaurant owner then tells Jiaxu he'll give him 15 days' salary in advance, and Sang Zhi overhears this conversation. When Jiaxu comes to her table and tells her to go home before it gets dark, she agrees. But as she's leaving, she returns to ask if he needs money. He says it's nothing like that, so she leaves. However, Jiaxu notices she left money on the table, understanding her intention, and he starts heading home. Her friend follows Sang Zhi out and asks why she's ignoring him and not replying to his messages. When she asks what kind of reply he wants, he confesses that he likes her. She firmly tells him that's not possible and he should focus on his studies instead. Her rejection makes the boy feel like crying, and just then, Jiaxu arrives. The boy quickly leaves. Jiaxu asks if she heard their conversation, and when she confirms she did, he tells her she shouldn't date in high school. She points out that she clearly refused the boy, and Jiaxu says he trusts her. However, he adds that when someone likes her, it's actually a good thing, and she should have rejected the boy more gently instead of making him cry. Sang Zhi insists she didn't make him cry. Jiaxu asks if she'll go home alone, and when she says yes, he returns the money she left and tells her not to worry about him. If he needs anything, he'll let him know. She responds that if her brother were in his position, she would help him too. Jiaxu smiles and says it feels good that someone cares about him. He then says goodbye and leaves. The story continues with Sang Zhi participating in a sports competition at school. Her brother is in the audience and immediately starts teasing her about being short when he sees her. She protests that she's not that short. Sang Yan happily greets Jiaxu, who compliments the sunflower design on Sang Zhi's shirt. Embarrassed, she hides the sunflower and starts to leave. Jiaxu follows her and places a cap on her head from behind. Sang Yan starts taking pictures because her father asked him to document the event, but Sang Zhi refuses to let him photograph her. When Songyan doesn't listen, Jiaxu takes the camera away from him and tells him not to tease his sister. When it's Sang Zhi's turn for the high jump, the first girl completes her jump successfully. Sang Zhi is the second participant, but instead of landing properly on the mattress, she jumps forward and falls hard, getting injured. Songyan rushes to help her up. The teacher asks Jiaxu if he's her brother, and he says yes. When Songyan is about to correct this, Sang Zhi quickly covers his mouth and tells the teacher that Jiaxu is her father. This confuses the teacher completely. As Songyan starts to argue with her, Jiaxu intervenes and says he'll take her to get medical attention. He brings her to a pharmacy, but since no one is there to help, he starts applying medicine to her injuries himself. While he tends to her wounds, Sang Zhi comments on how nice he is, comparing him to her brother who only fights with her and doesn't show love. Jiaxu gently tells her that's not true, and that Songyan was genuinely worried when she fell. Songyan arrives and says he'll take over since he's her father, adding that when her brother is free, he can take her too. As he's helping her, Sang Zhi sees Jiaxu assisting another injured girl. This makes her sad because she thought he was only nice to her, but now she realizes he treats everyone kindly. Later, Jiaxu visits Sang Zhi's school looking for her. He asks the guard if there are any students from her class inside, and after checking, the guard reports that no one is in the classroom. This makes Jiaxu worried about where she might be. Meanwhile, Sang Zhi's friend has brought her to an internet cafe. When Sang Zhi asks why she brought her to a place the teacher forbade them from visiting, her friend says she has to go somewhere. Sang Zhi doesn't want to go, but also doesn't want her friend to go alone, so she reluctantly accompanies her. Outside the cafe, 3 older girls start bullying them. They take their money and demand they bring more money the next day, threatening to show up outside their school if they don't comply. After the bullies leave with their money, Sang Zhi tells her friend she knows she's been acting differently since the sports day incident, when she didn't even come to check on her after she fell. She realizes her friend deliberately brought her to this place and starts to leave. Just then, Jiaxu arrives and immediately starts asking what she's doing there and who she came with. Sang Zhi doesn't answer, but hugs him and starts crying. He takes her to a nearby cafe, brings her juice, and asks what happened. When she remains silent, he threatens to tell her family if she doesn't explain. Finally, she agrees to tell him everything and says she'll also tell her family at home. After hearing the whole story, Jiaxu tells her she made the right decision and should definitely tell her parents about this bullying situation. He then takes her home on his bicycle, choosing a scenic route he describes as very lovely. Sang Zhi also enjoys the beautiful path they take. Before leaving her at home, he tells her to make sure she tells her parents everything and gives her some money. She initially refuses to take it, but he insists and then leaves. The next day when Sang Zhi finishes school, her brother is waiting there with his friends. She takes them to explain about the 3 girls who bullied her. They leave Sang Zhi behind and go to the cafe where the bullying occurred. Sang Yan approaches the 3 girls, stomps out their cigarettes with his foot, and demands to know why they bullied his sister. Scared, the girls promise to return the money they took. Jiaxu warns them never to bully anyone like this again. Intimidated by Jiaxu's presence, the girls sit down and promise not to bully anyone after that day. When they return to Sang Zhi, none of them tell her the details of what happened. Sang Yan simply returns her purse to her. In a flashback, we see Sang Zhi drawing on the light bulb that Jiaxu had given her and placing it in her lamp, which she still keeps. The story progresses to show Sang Zhi's exam results. After receiving her report card, her parents see that she barely passed physics. Her father decides to hire a tutor for her. Initially, her brother Song Yan tries to teach her physics, but Sang Zhi's endless questions frustrate him, leading to fights between the siblings. Sang Zhi goes to her mother and declares she won't study with Song Yan anymore. Song Yan also comes and says he won't teach her. Their father then decides to hire a professional tutor. The next day, when Sang Zhi comes downstairs with her books expecting to meet a new tutor, she finds no one there. She then notices someone in the kitchen and discovers it's Jiaxu, who is cooking and makes noodles for her. After they eat, Sang Yan and Jiaxu start playing games. Sang Zhi approaches with her books, and Sang Yan tells her that since they just ate, Jiaxu will teach her for a while. Jiaxu shows her his resume, but it doesn't have a photo attached. Sang Zhi starts drawing his picture, but it's not turning out well. When Jiaxu notices her difficulty, he starts posing to help her get a better reference. After this, she goes to her room, and Jiaxu follows to teach her. He asks to see her phone to check how she drew his picture, but she insists she didn't draw any picture and tells him to just focus on teaching. Jiaxu looks at her coursework and begins explaining the concepts. He tells her he'll come to teach her 3 days a week and work the other 3 days, which should be sufficient for her needs. The next day, he returns to teach Sang Zhi. Looking at his tired eyes, she asks if he didn't get enough sleep. He admits there was a lot of work the previous night, so she suggests he rest while she does her homework. He gives her assignments and falls asleep on the sofa. Seeing him sleeping, Sang Zhi thoughtfully covers him with her jacket and then quietly works on her studies. When he wakes, he sees that she's drawing instead of doing the work he assigned. He asks to see the homework, and she shows him the notebook. She had made a mistake on one question, and he says he thinks he might not be a good tutor. She quickly reassures him that's not true, explaining that she simply doesn't like physics. Jiaxu then tells Sang Yan that when they're both free, he wants to take Sang Zhi to the museum, believing it will help spark her interest in studying. Inside the museum, he had only bought tickets for the two of them. When Sang Yan asks if he should come along, Jiaxu says no, and the two of them go alone. Inside the museum, Jiaxu shows her various exhibits and explains physics concepts through interactive displays. He asks her to hold a slide, and she takes it happily. Jiaxu shows her many informative and interesting things, asking if she's getting more interested in science. She enthusiastically says yes. Then she asks him about having a girlfriend. When he asks what she means, she explains that he has dreams of going into gaming, and she wonders if having a girlfriend would interfere with achieving his goals. He responds that he couldn't just abandon a girlfriend by saying he needs to focus on studies when he's about to graduate. She mentions that she asked Sang Yan the same question, but he didn't answer. Then she asks if he gets a girlfriend, will he treat her the same way he treats her now? He promises he'll find a girlfriend who is good to her too. She says she wants to meet his future girlfriend to determine if she's good enough. They make this promise to each other. At one point, Sang Zhi starts sketching, and he compliments her artistic ability, suggesting she should pursue art as well. Then, Sang Yan calls saying he's arrived to pick them up, so they go outside. Jiaxu receives a work call and tells them to go home without him, then stays behind to work. When Sang Zhi gets home, she realizes she left her sketchbook somewhere. She calls the museum, and they tell her the sketchbook was found and given to Jiaxu. She suddenly panics, remembering what she drew in it and hoping he doesn't see the contents. The next morning, Sang Yan tells her that her sketchbook has arrived. In the following scene, Sang Yan informs Jiaxu that his sister is dating someone online. Jiaxu says she should have known better, and Sang Yan threatens what he'll do if he catches that boy. Jiaxu finds this amusing and goes to talk to Sang Zhi. Since she's not speaking to Sang Yan, he asks Jiaxu to talk to her instead and leaves them alone. Jiaxu asks her about her boyfriend, and she mentions he's graduating. She's actually talking about Jiaxu himself, though. He doesn't realize it. He advises her not to date someone so much older and suggests she wait until after high school to date. He asks for the boy's contact information, but she refuses because she was speaking hypothetically. From then on, Sang Zhi eagerly waits for Jiaxu to come teach her each day. One day, he gives her a test, and she performs very well. After the tutoring session, as he's about to leave, her parents ask him to stay and celebrate with them. He says he'll celebrate at the hostel instead and starts helping her father with some tasks. Sang Zhi thinks she should give him a red envelope for New Year since it's the holiday season, but she doesn't have money. Instead, she puts some candies in an envelope, writes Happy New Year on a piece of paper, and includes it. She goes downstairs and secretly slips it into Jiaxu's coat while her parents are busy inside. That night, Jiaxu goes back to the hostel and celebrates with her family. Her father gives her a red envelope containing her mobile phone, which makes her very happy. Then she receives a New Year message from Jiaxu. However, Jiaxu then receives a call informing him that his father isn't well and he needs to go home immediately. In the next scene, a package arrives for Sang Zhi from Jiaxu. She asks Sang Yan why he didn't give it to her personally, and he tells her Jiaxu has gone back to his hometown. A flashback shows Sang Zhi messaging Sang Yan to come home, and he tells his friends his sister needs his help. Jiaxu arrives, and Sang Yan asks if he wants to come home with him too, and Jiaxu agrees to accompany him. Sang Zhi then disconnects the call, which was what she wanted to ask about. She waits eagerly, but only Sang Yan comes home, making her sad. Sang Yan starts scolding her for opening the door carelessly, and they have a fight. Just then, their parents arrive too. Back in the present, Sang Zhi receives the gift from Jiaxu, which turns out to be a stuffed dog toy. She calls him to say she liked his gift, making him happy. She asks if he'll come to her graduation ceremony, and he says yes. When she asks for his home address because she wants to send him a gift, he asks why. She explains she wants to give him something, but he says he doesn't want any gifts. Then she opens the gift she had prepared for Jiaxu. At the graduation ceremony, Sang Zhi secretly watches Jiaxu from afar. When she spots him, she gives him a flower bouquet. He says he thought you brought it for your brother, but she explains that Sang Yan already has one, and this one is specifically for him as her teacher. She starts to give him another gift when Jiaxu's friends call him over. He takes pictures with Sang Zhi and his friends together. She asks if he'll stay in his hometown after graduation, and he says yes. When she asks if he'll forget her, he promises that will never happen and that he'll keep coming to visit her. They take pictures together. Later, Jiaxu brings a drunk Sang Yan home. Their parents help give Sang Yan water and care for him. When Sang Zhi arrives, their mother asks her to give Jiaxu a towel and other necessities. He initially says he'll leave, but their mother insists he stay the night. Sang Zhi gives him some of Sang Yan's clothes and shows him where the towel is, then goes to sleep. A little later, she comes out and sees Jiaxu sitting alone, clearly troubled. She approaches him and asks if he can't sleep, wondering if there's a problem he wants to talk about. He smiles at her concern, but doesn't tell him what's bothering him. She says if he doesn't want to talk, she's just going to sit with him for company. He then explains that he has a lot of debt weighing on him. She asks how much money it is, saying that when she grows up and starts earning, she'll help pay off all his debts. He tells her the debt isn't actually his and that she should spend her future earnings on herself. He thanks her for caring so much about him. After a while, she goes back to her room and hears the front door opening and closing. She goes to the balcony and sees Jiaxu leaving. She checks her phone and discovers he's taking a morning flight home. He sends her a message telling her to study well and keep him updated about her grades. From then on, she becomes determined to get into the university in Jiaxu's hometown and works incredibly hard to achieve good grades. Time passes with her studying diligently, and Jiaxu sends her nice gifts whenever she achieves good results. One day, she overhears Sang Yan talking to a friend, saying that Jiaxu has a girlfriend, and asking to see what she looks like. When she asks Sang Yan about this, he confirms that his friend told him so. Feeling sad, she considers messaging Jiaxu but decides against it. The next day, she impulsively takes a flight to Jiaxu's hometown. At the airport, Sang Yan calls asking where she is. When she tells him her location, her brother is shocked and asks why she went there. She lies and says her online boyfriend asked her to come. Sang Yan tells her to stay put and calls Jiaxu to go get her. When Jiaxu calls asking for her location and arrives to find her, his girlfriend is also with him. Seeing Jiaxu with another girl, Sang Zhi starts crying. He asks about her boyfriend and she says he left her because she's too young. Jiaxu comforts her, saying she'll find someone else and gives her a tissue. He suggests they wash her face and then go to lunch, but she insists she wants to go home. He says they should eat first, and after lunch she gives him the gift she brought. He's touched that she still remembered him and says he really liked her gift. He then gets a call from Sang Yan and prepares to take her to the airport. Before leaving, he gives her a gift, which is a cute stuffed toy. When she returns home, Sang Yan has come to pick her up from the airport. She starts crying when she sees her brother, and he assumes she's upset about the boyfriend, not realizing she's actually crying because of Jiaxu. Her brother comforts her, and when they get home, she goes to her room and cries again. Her parents ask Sang Yan if something is wrong with her, and he tells them not to talk to her about it because she's already cried enough. Sang Zhi then packs away all the items related to Jiaxu. Sometime later, Sang Zhi gets admission to a university in Jiaxu's city. After completing her military training, she goes to her friend's birthday party. Jiaxu is also at the party, but they don't notice each other initially. Sang Zhi enjoys herself with a little drink and tells her friend she's going outside for fresh air. When she steps out, a cigarette falls from her jacket. As she bends down to pick it up, Jiaxu appears and picks up the cigarette, asking if she started smoking too. She says no, it belongs to her friend. He notices she's been drinking and comments that she's learned to do makeup too, saying she looks very nice. He mentions that he sent her many messages, but she never replied to any of them. She says she was busy with classes, and he points out that he used to come teach her too. When he calls her little girl, she protests that she's not little anymore and has grown up. He insists she'll always be little to him, and she starts to leave, saying she has to go back to her friends. She returns to her friend who is waiting for cake cutting. Later, when she asks about going back to the hostel, her friends tell her they're staying longer and she should go ahead. They'll message her later. As she starts to leave, Jiaxu offers to take her back to the hostel. She's not talking to him during the ride, so he asks her to tell him what's in her heart. She says she doesn't like it when he calls her a little girl. He explains that even when she gets married, she'll still be a child to her parents. She asks if he wants to be like her father, which makes him fall silent and smile. He asks if she came to the city for her boyfriend, and she says no, she doesn't have any contact with him anymore. She chose this university because she liked it. He drops her off at the hostel and gives her something to drink. She goes to her room and starts drinking it when she receives a message from Jiaxu telling her that next time she's been drinking, she shouldn't go home alone, but should find someone to accompany her. Later, Sang Zhi gets a call from her father asking her to treat Jiaxu to dinner because he helped her so much in the past. Meanwhile, Jiaxu is working on his game project when Sang Zhi messages him asking when he's free so she can thank him with dinner. He smiles after reading her message and says he'll be free next weekend. She agrees, but asks what time he'll be available. Seeing her formal messages, he calls her directly and says he'll be free next week. She asks for a specific time, and he says he can't tell her that yet. He mentions they'll also need to go to a repair shop that day. When she asks why, he says her phone is broken. She insists it's not broken, so he explains that her typing has become very formal, asking since when her phone started making her call him by formal titles and speak so politely. She explains that her father told her to address elders respectfully, and since he's 5 years older than her, she should speak formally. Hearing this, he says goodbye abruptly. She says she has something else to discuss with him, and he tells her to go ahead. She explains she didn't have her phone with her on campus, so she couldn't contact him. He says he found out from her brother, and then she disconnects the call. In the next scene, Jiaxu is so busy with work that he hasn't even had lunch. His assistant brings lunch and he starts eating while sitting in a meeting. By the end of the meeting, he starts feeling unwell. Sang Zhi is waiting for him when he calls to tell her he won't be able to come. Hearing his voice on the call, Sang Zhi immediately asks if something is wrong with him. He says he thinks he has food poisoning, and she asks for his office address, saying she's coming right away. She goes there and finds Jiaxu sitting outside looking pale. She tries to hail a taxi for him, but there are no taxis available, so she says she'll book one through an app. As she approaches Jiaxu to help him, they accidentally get close, and he kisses her forehead. He immediately apologizes, saying he didn't mean to do that. She manages to get a taxi and helps him get in. When they arrive at the hospital, the doctor says his condition is serious and they need to perform an appendectomy immediately. As they're taking him for the operation, Sang Zhi tries to follow, but he tells her to go home. She insists she'll wait for him outside. While he's in surgery, she reads his medical reports. Her mother calls and she explains that she's at the hospital with Jiaxu. Her mother mentions that he has no family there since his mother passed away a long time ago. After Jiaxu's operation is completed, the doctor says he'll need to stay in the hospital for 7 days and should only eat simple foods. Sang Zhi brings food for him, and he tells her to go home since it's very late. She says she's not a child, so he doesn't need to worry about her. At Jiaxu's insistence, she goes outside where she gets a call from Sang Zheyuan asking about her well-being. After the call ends, she returns to find Jiaxu still awake. He asks why she didn't go back, and she says if she were in his position, he wouldn't have left her, so she stayed. He tells her she hasn't eaten anything and should get something for herself. She says she brought some food and starts eating bread. While eating, her face gets puffy from the bread, which makes Jiaxu smile as he watches her. Sang Zhi notices this and thinks maybe there's something on her face, even going to the bathroom to check. She sees a washcloth and realizes he can't bathe properly, so she offers to help him clean up. She tells him since he can't bathe, she'll clean him with the cloth. He says he can do it himself, but she asks if he minds her helping. Closing his eyes, he lets her clean his face. Sang Zhi looks at him intently while cleaning, and then he opens his eyes. They both start looking at each other intensely. Sang Zhi quickly goes to the washroom afterwards, thinking to herself that she shouldn't have opened her eyes after closing them. When she returns to the room, he's using his phone. She brings her bed closer to Jiaxu's, and he tells her to take his coat to sleep so she doesn't get cold. She lies down and falls asleep. In the morning, while she's cleaning his face, he wakes up. She tells him she has a lecture to attend, so she's leaving, and asks if he needs anything she should bring. He says it's good she mentioned it because he needs some things from home, including his laptop. He gives her his house keys from his coat and will send her the address. She asks why he needs a laptop, and he says, for work. She protests that he should rest and refuses to bring it. He says it seems like she's really grown up now, so she says goodbye and leaves. Sang Zhi goes to Jiaxu's house to collect his things. There, she also sees a picture of herself and him together. She starts packing his belongings, and when she arrives at the hospital, Jiaxu tells her another patient has been assigned to the bed next to his. He takes out his laptop, and she says he can only use it during the day. He promises to follow this rule. When the new patient arrives, he asks them if they're a couple. Jiaxu says no, explaining that she's his sister. The man's son mentions that they speak quite loudly. The old man starts talking about marriage, and Sang Zhi quickly clarifies that Jiaxu isn't her husband, saying he's much older than her and seems more like her father. The old man completely misunderstands and says that once they get married, they'll become like mother and father to each other too. This makes Jiaxu smile. The next morning when Sang Zhi wakes up, Jiaxu is using his laptop. She starts arguing with him about working when he should be resting. The old man comments that they're fighting first thing in the morning, asking what they'll do after marriage. Jiaxu clarifies they're not married and tells Sang Zhi to ignore it as a joke. Sang Zhi gets angry because he's treating the marriage topic as a joke. The next scene shows the day of Jiaxu's discharge from the hospital. Sang Zhi helps him pack his belongings. The old man asks if they're leaving, and when Jiaxu confers, the man suggests they should get married too. Jiaxu says they can't get married because she's still very young. The old man says not to worry, they can get married when she's older. As she starts taking his luggage, he mentions her earlier comment about getting married soon. He says he started the joke, and she explains he was bored in the hospital, so he made jokes. She asks why he chose her to joke with. When they arrive at his home, he invites her to eat with him before she goes. She writes and posts notes around his house with health instructions for his recovery. She tells him that when he gets better and is free, she wants to treat him to dinner. He says he should be the one treating her since she took such good care of him. She agrees and then leaves, making an excuse about having work to do. The next day, Jiaxu discusses the situation with his colleagues, saying he joked with her, but she got angry. They tell him these kinds of things become very serious for girls, and besides, she probably has a boyfriend and will get married eventually. They suggest he take her to dinner to clear up any misunderstandings. Later, Sang Zhi's friend is going out to celebrate New Year's and asks her to come along, but she refuses, saying it will be too crowded. While Sang Zhi is eating alone, she gets a call from Jiaxu. He tells her about a family dinner his company has arranged and invites her to come as his family. She starts to refuse, so he asks if she went with her friends. When she says no, he suggests that if she has a problem with crowds, they can have dinner together, just the two of them. She's still hesitant, so he reminds her she owes him a treat. Understanding this, she agrees. At the restaurant, he clarifies that this isn't a treat from her, but from him because he teased her in the hospital. She says it's no problem. While they're eating, a girl named Zhang arrives with her friend. Seeing Jiaxu, she starts trying to talk to him. When he doesn't respond to Zhang, she deliberately spills water on him. Sang Zhi cannot tolerate this behavior and spills her own water on Zhang, asking how dare she do such a thing. Sang Zhi throws more items at her, but Jiaxu stops her and security escorts Zhang out. Outside the restaurant, Sang Zhi cleans Jiaxu's face and gives him his coat. As he starts to leave, she asks, "Who was that girl?" He tells her Zhang isn't important to him at all, explaining he only knows her because of his father. She says if it has to do with his father, he shouldn't let Zhang bully him. She appreciates that someone cares about him. Looking at his face, she notices an injury and applies medicine to it. Then it starts snowing, which makes Sang Zhi very happy. Enjoying the snow, she wishes that Jiaxu will always be happy. She tells him he should make a wish when it's the first snow of the season. He mentions it rarely snows here, saying it snowed when he was in first year and now it's snowing again. She says, then I'm lucky to see it, and he responds that he is also lucky to be watching the snow with her. He then wishes that Sang Zhi will always be happy. When Jiaxu arrives home, Zhang is waiting for him. She apologizes, but he doesn't listen to her. She says he can't ignore her like this, and he responds that he's paid back all the money he owed. Zhang then says his father murdered her father, and he's forgotten the promise he made to her mother. At the mention of this promise, he pushes her out and closes the door. A flashback shows him and his mother apologizing to Zhang's family, but they were being thrown out. His mother promised to take care of Zhang and her mother and pay all the money owed, but they wouldn't listen. The flashback also shows that in school, all the students used to bully Jiaxu because his father was labeled a murderer. Back in the present, he looks at his mother's picture and asks for forgiveness. Just then, fireworks start, and he watches them. On the other hand, Sang Zhi is also watching the fireworks. She messages Jiaxu, asking what he's doing, and he says he's watching fireworks too. He sends her a picture of the fireworks he's watching, and she responds that she's watching the same ones. The next day, Jiaxu receives a message from Sang Zhi saying she's coming over. When he goes downstairs, he sees Zhang approaching, so he comes to Sang Zhi from another direction and takes her side. He tells her she shouldn't come to his house or office like this without notice. Sang Zhi gets very angry at his reaction. She gives him a security camera and suggests that if Zhang continues to harass him, he should install it outside his house and can even inform the police if necessary. He invites her to lunch, but Sang Zhi, still angry about his earlier comment, refuses and leaves. Later, Sang Zhi is thinking about Jiaxu when he messages asking if she's going home after exams. She says yes, she's going next weekend. He invites her to dinner after the exams, but she refuses. Jiaxu becomes sad, and Sang Zhi also feels sad seeing his simple okay response, thinking he would insist more. After her exams, Sang Zhi is at a bar with her friends celebrating. She drinks quite a bit, and her classmates start singing a song for her, but she's not really aware of what's happening around her. She gets a message from Jiaxu, but doesn't reply, so he calls her. She steps aside to answer his call, and hearing the noise in the background, he asks where she is. When she tells him, he says he's coming to pick her up. She informs her friends, and one of her male classmates follows her outside. The classmate tells her he sang a song for her earlier. Sang Zhi starts feeling unwell and sits down, and he sits next to her as well. Just then, Jiaxu arrives. The boy explains he was taking care of her, and Jiaxu says now that he's there, he'll take care of her. As he starts to take her away, she sits down again, saying she feels like vomiting but can't. He suggests they sit somewhere else, but she says she doesn't want to get up. When he tries to lift her, she vomits on him, But Jiaxu doesn't say anything negative. He just hugs her and continues helping her walk. She sits down again, saying she can't walk anymore. He offers to carry her on his back, but she protests he had an operation and the doctor told him not to lift heavy things. He reassures her it's been 3 months and nothing will happen. She worries she's too heavy and has gained weight, even though it doesn't show. Hearing this, Jiaxu starts smiling and then lifts her onto his back. While he's carrying her, she tells him she has a secret. He asks what it is, and she says she liked a boy. He asks for the boy's name, but she doesn't tell him. He asks how this boy treated her, and she says he was good to everyone. She thought he treated her specially well and starts crying. Jiaxu doesn't like hearing this at all. He puts her in the car, gives her his coat, and says he'll show her how to be different from that boy. He promises he'll only be good to her because he can't stand to see her crying. The next morning, when she wakes up, she remembers everything from the night before. She receives a message from Jiaxu saying he's booked her flight ticket home. She comes downstairs with her luggage, and Jiaxu arrives to pick her up. Her male classmate also arrives and confesses his feelings to her, but she refuses his advances. He gives her something to eat and leaves. As she's going to the airport with Jiaxu, he asks what kind of boys she likes. She hadn't given him a direct answer earlier. She turns the question around and asks, why hasn't he had a girlfriend yet? He suggests she find one for him, and she says her friends are all her age. He says that's no problem, they would work too. Sang Zhi is shocked by this response. When she arrives home, she gives New Year gifts to her parents. She brought glasses for Sang Yan that he doesn't like at all. Their mother then suggests Sang Yan should go on a blind date, but he says he doesn't want to go anywhere. Later, she asks Sang Yan why he's refusing, suggesting he should take Jiaxu along too since they're both single. Smiling, Sang Yan tells her he likes a girl, so he doesn't want to go on blind dates. Later, Jiaxu messages her saying he's in her city and wants to meet today. She wonders why he sent this message. She's at Sang Yan's friend's wedding and gives him a red envelope, which he initially won't accept. She looks around but doesn't see Jiaxu anywhere. She sits at a table, and then Jiaxu arrives too. Both smile at each other when they see one another. They sit together, and he thinks she didn't even call him, so he messages her and gestures for her to check her phone. She looks at her phone and sees a message from her mother, which she starts telling Sang Yan about. Jiaxu then starts asking her what the boy she likes is like, and she asks why she should tell him. Some strawberries arrive with the fruit course, and she starts to pick up one, but someone else takes it before she can. Jiaxu was watching this interaction. She asks Sang Yan if she can go back home by herself, since he doesn't need to accompany her. When she comes outside, Jiaxu follows her, saying he took the car keys from her brother and will drive her home. She refuses at first, but he tells her to get in the car. On the way, he also buys her strawberries. Sang Zhi eats the strawberries and offers him some, but he's busy driving, so she asks if she should feed him. As she brings her hand closer to his mouth, he eats from her hand, which makes Sang Zhi shy. He becomes very happy and plays his favorite song. When they arrive at her house, he gives her a gift and tells her to open it. It's a bracelet that she really likes. She takes the gift, says goodbye to him, and goes inside. Once home, she searches the internet to understand why someone gives gifts like this. She finds that it could mean the person likes you, which shocks her into wondering if that means he likes her. But then she reads further and discovers that a person who is older or cares for you also gives these kinds of gifts, so she concludes maybe he's just showing his care as an older person. Her parents come and tell her they'll leave secretly in the morning, so she says since Jiaxu is also going back in the morning, she'll go with him. The next day, he arrives to pick up Sang Zhi and also brings breakfast for her. He looks at her hand and notices she's not wearing the bracelet he gave her. He asks about it, and she shows that she is wearing it. Sang Yan becomes silent after seeing this. Jiaxu asks if she didn't like the gift, and she shares the breakfast he brought, drinking juice herself. He tells her she can't fill her stomach by just drinking, and asks her to open her mouth. Then he puts food in her mouth, and she gives him half while eating the other half herself. At the airport, they have plenty of time before the flight, so they wait together. Sang Zhi tells him about a time when she was in high school and came to his city. She mentions that when he picked her up from the airport, there was a girl with him. He asks if she thought that girl was his girlfriend, but she denies saying anything like that. Jiaxu smiles looking at her response.
When they reach his city, Sang Zhi collects her luggage and looks up to see Jiaxu already waiting for her. They start to say goodbye, and her friend also observes this interaction. Later, Sang Zhi shares everything with her friend, who advises her to forget about the age difference and show him that she's his equal since she's younger. In the next scene, Sang Zhi is with her friends when Jiaxu calls and invites her to lunch. She agrees and he says he'll pick her up. When Jiaxu comes to get her, he calls asking if she's ready. She says yes and comes downstairs. Seeing her, Jiaxu is very impressed and tells her she looks very different and pretty. He then mentions he wants her to meet someone today. Sang Zhi thinks he wants to introduce her to his girlfriend. They arrive at the restaurant where the girl from the airport is already waiting. After they sit down, Jiaxu goes to the washroom and the girl talks to Sang Zhi. She compliments how pretty Sang Zhi has become and mentions that the day she saw her at the airport, Jiaxu had a fever, so her husband asked her to drop him off. She recalls that Sang Zhi was crying that day and Jiaxu didn't feel good about it. He had told her before that he couldn't bear to see Sang Zhi cry, but now he says he can't stand it. Sang Zhi realizes she had misunderstood their relationship completely. The woman praises Jiaxu, saying he's very good. Just then, Jiaxu arrives with the rest of his colleagues. They ask about Sang Zhi, and Jiaxu introduces her as his friend. Sang Zhi thinks that whenever he introduced her to people before, he said she was his sister, but today is the first time he's introducing her as a friend. They all start eating together. Jiaxu asks her if they can leave, and she asks if that's possible. He takes her hand and starts to leave. Once outside, he asks if she wants to go to another restaurant. He was holding Sang Zhi's hand, and when she looks at their joined hands, he notices her gaze and lets go. She says she's not in the mood to eat anymore. She asks him if he told the producer to explain everything to her, and he confirms he did so she wouldn't have any misunderstandings. He then suggests watching an animated movie together, which makes Sang Zhi happy. He tells her to get a drink, and as soon as he gives her the drink and she tastes it, she realizes it's a milkshake. She asks why there's milk in it, and worried, he asks if she's allergic. When she confirms she is, he immediately says he'll go get it changed. He takes her to get medical attention and gives her medicine to take. She takes the medicine with her face covered due to the allergic reaction. He comes close to look at her face and sees the allergic reaction, telling her she needs to avoid milk products in the future. She keeps bringing her hand toward her face to scratch, so Jiaxu takes her hand to stop her. She complains that he's pulling her like she's a dog, and he playfully agrees, saying she is a dog who doesn't know what to eat and what not to eat. She smiles at this, and Jiaxu smiles too. He then mentions that her birthday is coming up, and she wonders if he's going to celebrate it with her. He says she won't be able to eat a cream cake because she's allergic to milk. She mentions that his birthday is also approaching and suggests they celebrate his instead. He says he doesn't celebrate his birthday. When her birthday arrives, she gets ready and meets Jiaxu. He comes close and asks if he looks like the kind of boy she likes, making her wonder if he knows about her feelings. They travel by bus together, and Jiaxu tells her to hold his arm so she doesn't fall. She just holds his shirt instead, so he takes her hand and places it on his arm, making Sang Zhi happy. They go to watch a movie, and she asks him for a drink. While watching the movie, they share the drink together. Because her hands are cold, so he holds it for her. After the movie, she asks where they should eat, and he says he'll take her to his house because her birthday gift is there. She asks why, and he explains the gift is at his house. She points out that previously he forbade her from coming to his house, and he acknowledges that he said that because of Zhang's situation. They arrive at Jiaxu's house, and he takes her to the terrace where he has decorated everything beautifully. Sang Zhi loves seeing all the preparations he made, including 2 cakes. After cutting the cake, Jiaxu brings a gift for her. He tells her not to open it there, but to open it comfortably when she gets home. She takes the cake and moves aside.
From behind her, he asks how people have proposed to her. She says she didn't like any of them, and he asks what kind of boy she likes. She describes someone handsome, caring, and tall. Jiaxu says he has all these qualities and asks if he can approach her too. She becomes silent, and then he asks her to say something, wondering if she doesn't have any feelings for him. She says no, but then looking at Jiaxu's disappointed face, she quickly clarifies she didn't mean that. She explains she doesn't understand right now, but if he keeps telling her about this, she'll also know whether she has feelings for him or not. He asks if that means he should keep proposing to her, and she says yes. Then she mentions he hasn't confessed his love to her yet, so she asks if she can take the cake because she likes it. He says if that's the case, he'll confess his love right now. She tells him not to do it now, and seeing her eat the cake, he says if she likes it so much, she can take both cakes with her. She starts to smile. She arrives at her hostel where her friends have also prepared a cake for her, so she happily cuts the cake with them. Later, Sang Zhi opens Jiaxu's gift and finds a camera inside. She sees the picture that was already in the camera and sends it to Jiaxu. He wonders how that picture got to her, then remembers that when he was checking the camera, he accidentally took that photo. She comments that the camera's quality isn't good because the picture doesn't look right to her. He says if she says yes to him, he'll send her the picture in HD quality. Their flirting continues, but she doesn't fall for his words. She starts taking pictures while wearing the bracelet Jiaxu gave her. Her friend asks if Jiaxu gave her the bracelet, and she confirms. Her friend asks if she said yes to him, and she says not yet, asking when she should say yes. Her friend says it depends on her. Jiaxu messages asking if she's free and wants to meet. Her friend suggests she refuse, so he'll realize how much he loves her. She refuses his invitation. When he asks a third time, she finally agrees. On the day they plan to meet, Jiaxu calls saying he's busy and won't be able to meet her. The same thing happens a third time, making Sang Zhi very angry with Jiaxu. Meanwhile, as soon as Jiaxu is free from work, he gets a call from the hospital. The doctor tells him his father's surgery needs to be done immediately. A flashback shows Jiaxu and his mother at home during a snowy day. His mother tells him to call his father. Then his father comes home looking very upset. They ask what happened, and his father says he had an accident with his car. His mother asks if the person is alive or dead, and he says nobody saw him, so he ran away. When Jiaxu starts to call the police, his father tells him not to. During this argument, his father falls down from the upper floor and is admitted to the hospital. His treatment requires a lot of money, so they had to borrow from many people. Jiaxu tells his mother he should get a job, but she tells him to complete his studies first. Because of too much hard work and stress, his mother becomes ill. Back in the present, he comes to his house and gets a message from Sang Zhi. He calls her directly and tells her to come to his house. They eat together, and Jiaxu apologizes for being very busy the past few days. She seems sad to him, so he asks what's wrong. She says she's fine, but points out that he doesn't seem fine either. He says he's fine, and she tells him to smile. He looks at her and smiles. Sang Zhi goes to make cotton candy for him. Jiaxu comes near her and watches, noticing the bracelet on her hand. After making the cotton candy, she explains that when she was little and got upset, she would eat something sweet to feel better, and suggests he try it too. On their way back, he asks if she's ever made cotton candy for anyone before. She says no, and he points out that means he's the first person. She confirms this, making Jiaxu happy. He says she's ready to be his girlfriend now since she made him cotton candy and is wearing the bracelet he gave her. Sang Zhi becomes silent. The next day, when she's in the library, Jiaxu arrives unexpectedly. Her classmate gives up her seat near Sang Zhi for him. She asks what he's doing there, and he says he had some work at the university. He comes close and moves as if to kiss her. Sang Zhi gets nervous and says she wasn't asleep, she was watching him come closer. He moves closer and kisses her cheek. Embarrassed, she says she didn't mean for that to happen. He says whatever he does, she'll do the same. She protests, she didn't say that, then clarifies just because she let him kiss her doesn't mean she's made him her boyfriend. She hasn't said yes to him yet. Jiaxu starts smiling. When they're walking outside after class, he comments that it feels good to walk on campus. She asks if he never walked there before, and he says no, he didn't have time. They come to the playground where a player gets injured, and they ask Jiaxu to play in his place. Jiaxu agrees and plays so well that everyone is impressed, including Sang Zhi, who happily watches him play. Later, Sang Zhi messages her brother saying she won't come home for the holidays because she has to do an internship. Her brother says she has to come home or he'll come get her himself. Jiaxu messages asking if she's free, and she says no, she has plans. Just then, he appears in front of her. He asks about her plans, and she says she has to celebrate someone's birthday, giving him a cake. They get in the car together, and she asks if his friends wished him happy birthday. He says they probably don't even remember their own birthdays, let alone his. She messages Sang Zheyuan asking if he remembers what day it is. Jiaxu calls and wishes him happy birthday, then asks if she's met Sang Zhi's boyfriend. Jiaxu says no and asks who he is. Sang Zheyuan describes some postgraduate student, and Jiaxu realizes he might have met him. Sang Zheyuan asks if Sang Zhi gave him a gift, and Jiaxu confirms. Sang Zheyuan then says the gift was actually from him. Sang Zhi thinks to herself that she brought the gift, and her brother put his name on it. She complains to Jiaxu about this, and he asks if Sang Zhi is with him. When confirmed, she says her brother didn't bring her a gift. Sang Zheyuan asks if she's going to have dinner with Jiaxu, and she says yes. After the call ends, Jiaxu asks about the postgraduate boyfriend. She explains she told her brother he was her boyfriend, but didn't say she'd started a relationship. Jiaxu asks if she'll be his girlfriend now. They arrive at the restaurant, which Sang Zhi has decorated very beautifully. She tells him to stay while she makes something for him. Jiaxu takes her picture as she works. She tells him to go outside while she prepares the food, then brings it out. She suggests taking a picture because she thinks she didn't make it well, but he says no, she made it perfectly. She starts to check her work, but Jiaxu doesn't let her have any of the food, saying she made it for him. At cake cutting time, Sang Zhi says he should make 3 wishes, but he says 3 would be too many and he only wants to make 1 wish, as long as it comes true. After making his wish, she asks what he wished. He says she knows what it is. She finally agrees to the relationship, making Jiaxu very happy. He says he always wants to celebrate her birthday with him like this. She playfully puts cake on him, so he holds her hand and tells her to stand up. Standing up himself, he goes close to her and kisses her, saying it's his first time, so he doesn't know how to do it properly, but asking her never to betray him. As they're sitting outside afterward, Jiaxu keeps looking at her. She asks him not to look at her like that, and he asks why not. Then he tells her that his mother has passed away, and his father is in a coma. He doesn't even have a house, just some savings. The next day, Sang Zhi arrives at the library where Jiaxu has already been waiting. He explains that she won't get a chair at this time, so he'll take her to his house to study. He takes her bag and brings her to his house, telling her to sit in his room and study. She says she'll study outside, but he takes her hand and brings her into the room. He tells her to sit on the chair while he sits on the bed, saying he wants to look at her. Hearing this, Sang Zhi comes closer to him and says now that he's seen her, they should leave. Jiaxu holds her and says he hasn't seen her properly yet. He asks if he can sit behind her and look at her, promising he won't say anything. She tells him to leave, and he playfully calls her cruel. He asks what she wants to eat, and she says she'll eat whatever he makes. They eat together, and Sang Zhi praises his cooking. Then she offers to wash the dishes, saying he doesn't have to do everything. He tries to stop her, but she goes into the kitchen and starts washing dishes. He follows her and says she doesn't do this work at her house, and he didn't ask her to do it. She responds that she doesn't want him to do everything in the future. They start working together, and then he asks if she wants to sleep or go out somewhere. She says no, she needs to study right now. They go to the room to study, but she starts feeling sleepy. She lies down on the bed and tries to study, then puts the notebook on her face and takes a short nap. When Jiaxu arrives and sees this, she quickly tries to get up, but falls off the bed instead. He asks how she's studying like this, and she says, this way she's more focused. He picks her up and puts her on the bed, asking if she's focused now. He's about to kiss her, but she turns to the side and gets up, asking what he's doing. He says they're together now and asks how she ended up under the bed. She explains the whole story, and he suggests that if she's sleepy, she should sleep for a bit, and he'll wake her up. He makes her lie down and covers her with a blanket. Sang Zhi holds his hand and asks him not to come so close because she gets nervous, but clarifies that doesn't mean she doesn't like him. He understands, makes her lie down properly, and leaves. When he drops her off at the hostel later, he asks for a candy from her. He also holds her hand and asks if he should take the candy.
Seeing her, he asks her to come near him. He makes her sit beside him and starts showing her his game, explaining the details. But Sang Zhi is just staring at him instead of paying attention to the game. After this, she plays the game and wins while he watches her. Then he starts getting closer to her, so she says she'll bring the snacks. Her hair gets stuck in Jiaxu's bitten, and as she comes near him to remove it, he kisses her. Their romance begins with this kiss. After kissing her, he tells her to go to sleep, and she quickly takes her laptop and goes to her room. The next day, when Jiaxu wakes up, Sang Zhi has made breakfast for him and left. He takes a selfie with the breakfast. When he comes home from work, she's asleep. He puts a blanket on her and kisses her gently. The next day, when she returns and is changing clothes, her package arrives, something Jiaxu sent for her. His call comes too, and he says he's eating the same food. In the following days, both are free from their respective jobs, so Jiaxu shows her many places around the city. However, she says she wants to go camping. He initially refuses, saying there could be many problems, but Sang Zhi says she has made all the arrangements, so he agrees, making her happy. The next morning, they were supposed to go camping, but it rains, which makes Sang Zhi sad. Jiaxu decides they will camp at home instead. They start setting up a tent and enjoy themselves greatly. Sang Zhi crawls under the table and Jiaxu pulls her up, coming close to her. Just then, she gets a call from her mother. She sits in the tent and talks to her mother, explaining that she's at her friend's apartment and they were supposed to go camping, but it was canceled due to rain. After the call ends, they both relax together and play games where Sang Zhi loses and gets a punishment. This is how their holidays pass happily. When she returns home, she surprises her parents, making her mother very happy. She goes to her room and talks to Jiaxu, telling him she misses him a lot. Sang Zhi's mother overhears their conversation, but doesn't know about Jiaxu specifically. Seeing her mother, she disconnects the call and goes to get some fruit. Her parents come into her room and her father asks directly if she's dating someone. Her mother asks, "Why didn't you tell them before?" She says, "I thought I would tell them face to face." Her father starts asking questions, so she leaves saying Sang Yan must have arrived and she's going to see him. She goes to Sang Yan and asks if he's having dinner with Jiaxu today. He asks if she wants to go too, and she says yes. He calls out to their mother, and Sang Zhi starts playfully hitting him. He explains he was just calling so their mother doesn't make too much food, earning a loving look from Sang Zhi before she goes to get ready. Sang Zhi waits for Jiaxu with Sang Yan, and when he arrives, she sits in the front seat. Jiaxu sits in the back and puts on his seatbelt, but Sang Yan misunderstands something. He points out that her brother is also there, and she tells him to just drive. After reaching the restaurant, Jiaxu tells his friends that he and Sang Zhi are in a relationship. They start drinking, and after dinner, Sang Zhi goes home with Jiaxu, though her heart doesn't want to leave him. She asks if he's allergic to alcohol, and he suggests they check. He kisses Sang Zhi and says he doesn't think it's an allergy. They continue to kiss, and he tells her he misses her a lot when he doesn't see her, kissing her again.
Sang Zhi goes inside the house and drinks water. Her mother comes inside, and Sang Zhi goes to her room. Her mother follows and asks if she and Jiaxu are dating. She tells her mother she wanted to tell them herself, but didn't know how to approach the topic. Her mother asks if she knows everything about him, and she responds that they like each other very much. Her mother points out there's a considerable age gap between them and asks her to think about this carefully. The next day, she's thinking about her mother's words when Jiaxu arrives to surprise her. He says he wants to meet her parents, and she thinks that's a good idea. While walking together, she asks if he's happy with her, and he says yes. She wishes she was 29 and he was 26, then her brother wouldn't have a problem with their relationship. He responds that he wanted a younger girl anyway. Later, Sang Zhi's father invites Jiaxu to their home when she's not there. He talks extensively with Jiaxu, who assures them he will always keep Sang Zhi happy. That night, when Sang Zhi comes home, her father tells her about Jiaxu's visit. She says she wants to support him through every problem. She goes to her room and calls Jiaxu, but doesn't say much initially. He asks, "Why aren't you talking?" And she tells him not to take to heart whatever her father said to him. He reassures her that her father didn't say anything inappropriate and tells her to go to sleep, saying he has some work and is going back in the morning. She offers to drop him off, but he refuses. The next day, she packs her things and starts leaving. Her parents ask where she's going, and she says she needs to talk to Jiaxu and asks them to trust their daughter for once. Her father offers to drop her to the airport. When she reaches Jiaxu's city, she gets a call from him asking if her brother told her he was coming. She says yes, and he tells her he's coming to pick her up. She waits for him, remembering the first time she came to this city. Jiaxu arrives and notices something is wrong with her expression. He asks, "What happened?" And she asks if he remembers when she was in high school and came to meet an online crush. He says yes. She reveals it wasn't anyone else. She had come to meet him. She explained that her brother had told her about him having a girlfriend, so she came to see him and she's liked him since childhood. She gives him papers with stars drawn on them, explaining she was writing these when she was little. Jiaxu opens and looks at them, finding expressions of love for him written inside. She tells him he is very good and shouldn't pay attention to what others say. They're just jealous. She asks if he trusts her. Jiaxu doesn't answer immediately, but there are tears in his eyes. He wipes her tears too and asks if she came all this way just to tell him this. She confirms and he smiles, saying she shouldn't think that if her parents don't agree, he will leave her. He promises that will never happen and he will never let her go away from him. He tells her to smile. That night, Jiaxu thinks about her words while Sang Zhi comes to him. He tells her she will never regret choosing him and promises to show her how good he can be. They kiss and their romance continues. The next day, Jiaxu tells his producer that after this project, he will resign. He explains he wants to go to another city and start his own work. His producer understands what he's planning. When he comes outside, he gets a call from the hospital. The doctor tells him his father's condition is critical. He sits by his father's side and talks to him extensively, but then his father passes away. When he comes out of the hospital, Sang Zhi is waiting for him. Seeing him, she hugs him and tells him to cry as much as he wants, then comforts him. After this, they both visit Jiaxu's mother's grave, and he tells his mother about Sang Zhi and his plans to move to another city, promising to keep coming to visit her. A few days later, both are enjoying themselves together when Sang Zhi talks about moving to his new city. He says he has to start his work and wants her to stay with her family, which is why he's making this move. He explains she has 2 years left for graduation and he wants to establish his business by then. She asks when he has to leave, and he says in a month. She becomes sad and he promises he will keep coming to see her. The day of his departure arrives. He's packing his things while Sang Zhi is cooking for him. He He goes behind her, hugs him, and asks if he wants to do something. She asks if he's talking about that. He kisses her and starts taking her with him. The next day, Sang Zhi comes to drop him at the airport. He hugs her and tells her to go, saying he's booked a taxi for her, but she doesn't agree to leave. He starts to go, and she follows him. He hugs her again and promises he will keep coming to meet her, then says a final goodbye and leaves. Later, Jiaxu visits Sang Zhi's parents. He first meets her mother, who asks why he brought so much stuff. Everyone eats together, and after eating, they drink tea. Jiaxu talks about Sang Zhi, saying he is serious about her and will never betray her. Sang Zhi's parents give their approval, making him very happy. After this, Sang Yan and Jiaxu go outside together. A flashback shows when Sang Zhi asked Jiaxu to attend the parent-teacher meeting. In the present, Jiaxu goes home and video calls Sang Zhi, telling her everything about how her parents said yes. She also becomes very happy. She asks if he's free at the end of the month because there's a competition where they have to receive a prize and she wants him to come. He says he just started working, so he won't be able to come. She says it's okay. The day of the prize event arrives and she's talking to him on the phone when he suddenly appears and sits with her. She says he wasn't supposed to come. He explains he came specifically for her. They sit in the back together and he mentions his tie feels tight, so she gets close to him to fix it. He kisses her and says she was going to kiss him anyway, so there was no need for such an excuse. She accepts this playfully. Jiaxu is called on stage because he was representing this project. The project that plays is about their life together, and he really likes it. He then gives the first prize to Sang Zhi. After this, he takes her with him for the group photo. Following her graduation, all her friends gather at the seaside, where Jiaxu comes to surprise her. She looks to the side and sees him, and then notices her mother, father, and Sang Yan are also there. Jiaxu sits in front of her, shows her an engagement ring, and asks if she will marry him. Sang Zhi takes the bouquet from his hand and extends her hand. Jiaxu puts the ring on her finger, and everyone tells them to kiss. Jiaxu kisses her, and the story ends with this happy ending. Their love story, which began with a teenage crush and grew through years of separation, misunderstandings, and personal growth, finally reaches its perfect conclusion. From the moment 15-year-old Sang Zhi first saw 20-year-old Jiaxu in her brother's room and thought he was the most beautiful person she'd ever seen, through all their shared moments of tutoring sessions, hospital visits, university years, and family challenges, their bond only grew stronger. What started as a hidden love finally bloomed into a beautiful relationship built on trust, understanding, and genuine care for each other. Jiaxu's promise to always be good only to her, and Sang Zhi's unwavering support through his difficulties, proved that their love could overcome any obstacle. This story beautifully captures the journey from childhood innocence to mature love, showing how sometimes the people we're meant to be with are right there beside us, waiting for the right time for love to flourish. Their engagement at her graduation ceremony, surrounded by both their families, represents not just their commitment to each other, but the acceptance and blessing of everyone who matters to them. This tale of hidden love finally revealed reminds us that true love is patient, kind, and worth waiting for. Sometimes the best relationships grow slowly, building on friendship, trust, and genuine affection rather than rushing into romance. Sang Zhi and Jiaxu's story is a testament to the power of persistent, gentle love that never gives up hope. The end.